In our last episode, I took the heat exchanger out of my O'Day 28 sailboat, took it home and took it all apart, and soaked it in barnacle buster, but things didn't go as planned. Oh wow, it's having some kind of reaction. This isn't how I wanted to clean the heat exchanger. Okay, at this point I'm thinking it's having a reaction with the aluminum. I think this pan is melting. This is officially the worst outcome of a project so far. We're Jason and Susie. In 2019, we bought Not Enough and learned how to sail her. After fixing up the boat, it was time for something bigger. And while our new sailboat Envision has brought us new challenges, it also brings us bigger adventures, and we want to share those adventures with you. So join us as we have Adventures in Paradise. Well, the pavers aren't looking so good there. I wonder if that'll pressure wash off. I have this thing soaking in a bunch of different positions. I keep rotating it around. I don't have as much barnacle buster left now because a lot of it exploded and foamed and all that. Out of here, but I'm doing the best I can. While we're at it, I have some leftover barnacle buster. And you know, a lot of people say, oh, don't clean these, keep them like this because they have patina, but sometimes corrosion all over it. It doesn't look nice, and it doesn't belong in my nice boat. I'm gonna put it in the barnacle buster and see what happens. I wish I had more of this stuff. Oh, look at that. Cleaning it already, almost instantly. Look at that. No, maybe not. The heat exchanger got really clean, and some of the green stuff you see there is just kind of where it was soaking, and once I re-soaked it, all that went away, but all the tubes are clear now, and it looked pretty good for the first wave. Yeah, so it still had what seemed to be like corrosion after I sanded it, but then I put it in the barnacle buster one more time, and it really took a lot of that surface stuff off, so I think it looks pretty good now. Well, it's repainted, and it's as good as it's gonna get. So time to find some new hoses, some new coolant, and get it all back in there. I'm at the boat today. Got the heat exchanger all done and ready to go back on. I got $150 of hose right here. Can you believe that? $15 a foot for some 7/8 hose. Yeah, I know. It's the right stuff though to get the job done. The other stuff had been on there since 2006 was the date on it. So it was old and ready to get replaced. So I'm excited about getting all new hoses, the heat exchanger put back on, the oil changed, all new coolant put in. All right, and look at this. That old zinc that was in here that just broke off and was pieces, and a nice new one going in. Look at that. This is kind of what it's like if you have the ladder gone and you want to stay overnight, and you put the ladder down in the quarter berth or something, so you can have a lot more room when you're cooking and everything in here. But it also obviously is so you can work on the engine. This piece here, this is the winch holder off the mast that I took off in a previous video when I ripped the boot and put that new tape around the mast. So, you know, it was all sticky. I could just buy a new one. I probably should have, but like, hey, I got to make a video for YouTube. So I cleaned it with Murphy's oil soap, and that does not get the stickiness off of it, but you can see like this yellow coating barely on it. That's what's sticky, and it's a process where some chemical leaches out. I read about it on the internet. Anyways, yeah, I could buy another one of these, but I don't ever touch this up there. It's a tiny bit sticky still after scrubbing it with baking soda, and I got some new cable ties to put it on with. So I'm gonna stick with this one because, I mean, really, it's a lot better than it used to be. Let's put it that way. I brought a couple jugs to put the coolant in. It's like, that's one thing about working on a boat like this in Marina, is like everything has to be captured. You can't let anything go into the water. So I'm really careful about that. I bought some new walkie-talkies so that when we're docking, we can talk, because we tried our Apple Watches, they have walkie-talkies built in, but it's just too hard to hear. So we got some walkie-talkies because she's up at the bow and I'm at the stern, and we just can't hear each other. The first thing I'm going to try and do today is get more coolant taken out of the system. you know, there's like, if I lower that hose there that comes over to here, coolant comes out, so I'm going to put that in one of these jugs and try and get the rest of the coolant out of that. And then this boat is equipped with a hot water heater, so as the engine's running, the engine coolant circulates through a couple gallon hot water heater that's back in that lazarette. So when you turn the water on, you get hot water. When you want to take a shower, you get hot water. So you can heat that up two ways. Over here, there's a hot water heater switch, so it's electric when you're plugged into the dock or at a marina for a week, you know. Or if you run the engine, it circulates through and heats it up that way. So let's say you're out in a cold environment, you could, or just want to take a shower, you could run the engine for like 30 minutes, get the hot water heated up, turn it off, and then have hot water for a while. So yeah, so that tank has coolant in it from, or at least the circulating through it, so I need to try and get that out too. This is dumb. But anyways, inside here is the water tank, hot water tank. I have to get the hoses off that. Got both the bottom hose and the top hose disconnected from the hot water heater, so I should be able to go into the engine room there and pull them through now. I got it around. Let's bring it up to this thing, put it in here. Oh, there it goes. See that crack open? Oh, look at that. That's it. That's the big hose. That's it. Man, look at that thing. I wonder if anyone will complain about my wires hanging down in this video. People like to do that. To there. So you know what? It looks like I only have about 1.5 feet too much. So that's about $15 too much I spent, and I guess I'll have a piece of hose left, but I'm not sure a 1.5 foot long piece of hose would do me any good for anything. Alright, we're done over here at the heater, hot water heater side. We have double hose clamps going through, and the other side here. And I made sure that the labels were easy to read, so anyone buying the boat or looking in it can see when they were replaced last. Looks good. Let's move on to the heater, to the heat exchanger side. Look, Susie's here now.
I brought beverages.
And it's the same day, but a little bit later. Continuing on with this repair, and I brought this from our fat tire bikes, this inner tube, because this sits in a metal cradle which should have like a gasket or a rubber under it so that it can not wear through. There it is. New heat exchanger is in. Look at that. And it has all new hoses connected to it. So in here I found, let's see if I can get my GoPro in there, right there, block coolant drain. I'm going to open that up, see if any coolant comes out of it. It doesn't seem like it is, so I guess that means it's empty, or is it plugged? Probably stick something up in there. Well, I took the screw all the way out of that thing and nothing comes out, so I don't know what that means. Maybe it drained out all the way, or maybe it's plugged. I see people saying it gets plugged, but I stuck wires in it and nothing happens, so I guess I'll just proceed because I can't get stuck on this all day. Old oil out, new oil in. Took off the oil filter. Oil filter on these engines goes right here, like this. I have this hose disconnected. I'm waiting to put that last hose on until I'm done changing the oil. All right, I got the new oil filter on. I got this zip tied again, the hose on, new coolant in. I got the coolant overfilled a little bit because I know it's going to suck some in. There's a burper here to let the coolant air out of the coolant system, but I'm hoping it's going to suck some in. I can always suck some out of here if it doesn't, but I think it will. My experience has always been like that. And I got the oil sucking hose back capped. I'm just going to tighten one more hose clamp. I'm going to start the engine and let it warm up. Got to put the belt back on here real quick. the next day, next morning. It's a nice day today. It's like 65, 67. Had a couple issues yesterday when I tried to start the engine. I mean, I let it run for a while. It kind of got too hot. I know it needs to be burped. There's air in the system because in those big lines that go to the water heater, there's air in those. I went out to the heater out there and I filled both those lines up with coolant that were empty before. I should have done that in the beginning. And I found a air lock out there, a bleeder on top of the top of the water heater. So when I came back in here, this was even lower, which is odd. I don't know if that's just some air went somewhere or something when I filled it, but because I filled it from the highest place, the entire heat exchanger should be full now. And I got quite a bit more coolant in, like what felt like at least another quart. So I'm gonna try and start it up again and see if we can get some flow this time. Before we just got a little gurgling and then our temperature started to rise quite a bit. That's it. This is one of the hose clamps that came off this project. Look at that. Right, that's using the wrong size hose clamp. I don't do that. But, you know, it's a good thing about doing things like this is that you get to fix things that other people did wrong. I'm feeling really good. I got all this done. The oil's changed, new oil filter. Let's see. All the hoses for the coolant change. The heat exchanger is all cleaned and painted, and it's all working. The head temperatures with the laser thing was staying around 155, 165, and it's all good. So I'll let the engine cool for a few days and then come put some more coolant in the overflow tank if it needs it. I'll monitor it the next time we go out, but I feel real good about this one. Repair done. Everything's nice and clean in here now. Perfect. Well, we got this messy boat all cleaned up again, all back to beautiful. Thanks for hanging out with me and watching me do all that. I hope you guys get something out of it. You know, when I was wanting a sailboat, these are the kind of videos I watched, and when I even started to own a sailboat, I watched people do this to understand what was involved. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are more experienced than me watching this and looking at everything I do wrong. But thanks again, and if you guys liked the video and gotten something from it, please click the like button, and I'll see you next time.